What's wrong with you?
Make my webcam bigger.
Why are you so small? Well, that's
I
my
don't know,
fault. I
dude.
apologize. I messed up. Mistakes were made. But what'd you
Mistakes
think
were
of
made, boys.
today, man? What did you think of
Dude,
it?
triangle formation's really good.
Okay.
Um, that's the biggest thing. Triangle formation's really good. The orb prime boss seems to be the biggest thing that when teams are ahead that keeps them ahead because
Yep.
it forces out such a big response from the opponent that it's so easy for you. I can't tell if it's just it forces the hand of the opponent to where you then dictate the flow of the match, and from there, as long as you play it right, just gain an advantage through that ability to
Right.
dictate the flow. Or if the teams that were playing against the Orb Prime early-ish taking of the Orb Prime, if they just weren't adapted dealing with it. Because there were a couple times, especially a Team Explicit, where they knew that the Orb Prime was being taken, and all five people from Warpath Gaming were taking it. Like they could have pushed. I talked about it in the game. They could have pushed other lanes in. They could have gained other objectives on the map while they were doing the Orb Prime, and then fall back, right?
Right.
Instead of just kind of like just giving it up and like kind of just staying really static. I feel like this is a game where you can't stay static. If there's an opportunity to do something, I mean, that's what travel mode is there for. If there's an
Yep.
opportunity to do something, you have to pounce on it. And that's what we see. The big thing for these winning teams that are winning their games is decisiveness. That's the number one element, is the decisiveness
Yeah.
and just having good fluidity and sticking to the game plan, I think,
Yeah.
is the big things, man. But the decision making definitely was the biggest factor, I think, for these teams today.
Yeah, and we got to see some good plays. I'm very interested to see what happens tomorrow. We're going to see Bay Life play. We are going to see some other teams play, and it was a lot of fucking fun. We're not casting
It
anymore.
was,
I can
man.
start cursing.
Yeah, we can do things now. We can do
Holy
that.
shit, bricks, banana. It was a lot of fucking fun.
It was, man.
It was
That's
my,
your first cast,
It
man.
was my first one. I got diarrhea halfway through it. I was very nervous. I'm very nervous.
It's true, guys. He actually does have a stomach bug.
I was so nervous about this. I was just like, oh man, I'm going to do terrible. I felt like it went really well. Maybe not on my part, but overall, it was a really good experience.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of support from the chat. We saw some trolls. Hashtag positivity, guys. One thing we're
It
talking
happens,
about
man.
is
It's
keeping
Twitch,
it positive.
boys. It's
keeping
Twitch.
it positive.
They gonna be trolling.
But today was fun, man. We do have some news to talk about this week. The big one is April 20. Is it the 21st? It's
It is the
Thursday, the
21st.
21st. We have Iggy and Scorch confirmed.
Boys.
Iggy and Scorch is coming out. Not only is Iggy and Scorch coming out, we are going to see movement speed changes.
Yes, that's the big one.
Yeah,
That's-
they
we
mentioned
can't-
something about the
we can't
deck.
spill the beans on the details, but I will tell you that it's going to change the game in a positive way, and it's going. The way that they're addressing travel mode is it's going to higher the skill cap.
We're going to see 1,000% increase in movement speed.
Yeah, across the board.
Across
Pretty much
the
travel
board.
mode all the time for everyone.
That's how it's going to be.
And you can fly.
Yeah, it's
Just fly
it's
around. Like
Call
there's going
of
to be
Duty
flying
6.
battles. Like it's going to be amazing.
it's going to be nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be.
But yeah,
That's
dude,
not what's happening. That's
not at
what's
all.
happening.
Not at all. What do you think of Iggy and Scorch? I got to play him. Luckily,
I mean, I don't know the numbers. But is it his? I believe
we're gonna go with it's.
he looks like a male. I don't know.
I'm
We
gonna
don't
go
know.
with It's because
Yeah.
he's on a little dragon thing. He's got a little flamethrower turret.
It's the flamethrower ability is like so anti-engage. Like I want you to engage into us. Like the steel. Don't lie to me, Gooch. I'm not lying to you.
Appreciate you would never lie.
The steel rampage sort of meta that we see with just heavy initiation. It's going to be like, hey, we're initiating, but we're all clumped up and we're just dying.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends on how much damage that ultimate does. And at the end of the ultimate, doesn't it also have a knockback as well?
It does. So I'll give you. I'll tell you a story. When I was at Epic headquarters back in February, beginning of February, like I said, I got to play Iggy and Scorch. He was so fucking broken. That little flamethrower ultimate, you would literally run into a group, you'd cast your ultimate, and everybody on the map would die. Not just in a group. The entire map, just flame everywhere, and all of a sudden, everybody's dying for no reason. I was in one lane on Sevarog, and I died, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
Are you serious? It was
Yes,
literally
it
that
was-
big of a range?
It was so bugged.
Oh,
It was so bugged. But it was amazing. He has a really fun kit. It's going to be really exciting to see him actually live. What else do we really didn't have? That was the biggest news story. Is of course those
Yeah.
changes. We're going to see some interesting changes to the card system, which again, all of that's coming on Thursday, guys. But the big thing we want to talk about, of course, is Agora's Rising. We had an
Yeah, man.
amazing turnout for the first tournament. We raised some money on Matcherino for the prize pool. I don't know what the total's at, but first place will get a nice little prize. Second place as well. And I think we just raised awareness for the hopefully what the future of Paragon Esports can be. I know we're so early
I
on.
hope so, man. Yeah, we had some bugs. We deal with some bugs.
We dealt with some bugs.
So for you and I, it was spectator bugs
Yeah.
where every single game, the team's colors were switched on the minimap.
Yeah.
So it would be so frustrating because I would see like someone rotating on the minimap, like let's say like a rampage would be rotating around to try to get a gank, and then but they're blue on the minimap, so I would click on the blue rampage and it would go to the wrong rampage. I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, that was the most frustrating thing. There was only one time where we weren't able to see the kills in the items. So that's good. There was a bug, for those of you listening, there's a bug where when you're watching replays, or whether they're live or they're old replays, using the tab button, which normally you get to see your card level, the kills, the last hits, and whatnot, it's completely blank and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And with the way the user interface, the OBS interface is right now for replays, the only way of seeing like what upgrades they have and stuff like that is by using that. Only happened one game, thankfully, though. So I would say all around the biggest thing, other than the show up that we had for the stream, the second biggest thing that I'm so happy with is everything went so smoothly on an administrative end. Games were played, well, of course, early on. There wasn't drama when it comes to teams. He say, she say. All the teams had good competitive spirit. They wanted to get into their matches. There was a couple times that I know of where teams had a bug happen against them, but they were like, you know what, it happens. They didn't, make a huge ordeal out of it. They absolutely could justify making a big deal out of it, but they're like, you know what, it's early access. So the sportsmanship and our admins, big shout out to you. Our admins did so very well, and the teams were all running work together. We all shared a common goal and just worked for that goal, and that was to put on a hell of a good tournament. And I think everyone involved. Because I've been putting so much work into this tournament, and I can't even begin to tell you. I've literally been making all the graphics and doing everything like that and stuff like that. So it literally like chokes me up by how well this went, because everyone came together. The community, some of the Epic guys were in here, the teams, everyone involved. We all worked together for a common goal. And it really makes me hopeful, man. It was so exciting. It just went so smoothly.
It did. It really went a lot smoother than I thought. I was very nervous we were going to run into some issues, but
yeah,
we really didn't. We had a absolutely pretty. I mean, it was from what we know, it was very, very smooth. We had amazing turnout again, and we're going to look at some things. Some stuff was brought up to our attention. Just know, guys, that our big thing here is making sure our teams are taken care of. If you played in this tournament, if you felt there was an exploit, if you felt there was bugs being abused, please let us know. Our main concern is making sure the teams get a fair shake, and we will definitely watch that. But overall, man, the tournament went really, really well. We got to see some great games.
Unfortunately, there wasn't any like back and forth games.
No,
I would say the Warpath and Explicit series was the closest series, and even then it wasn't that close.
Right.
That team fight by the Orb, man. If you guys missed it, so just so you know, I will be spending that Facebook cozer. I will be spending a good amount of time either tonight or tomorrow before we start tomorrow's broadcast, putting all the VODs on YouTube of the games that we broadcasted. So for those of you all listening on iTunes or Stitcher, make sure you check out Another Notch's YouTube channel so you guys can watch the games that we're talking about. But they were great games. We saw different strategies. We saw howitzers. We saw deckers. We saw a lot of variety. And it's, there was, right now, Paragon has 14 heroes, and we saw a majority of the heroes, right? Out of the 14. There's already variety in a game that has 14 heroes. I think that's a big testament to balance early on is pretty good overall. Like the balance of each ranged carry, or the rangers, I think are pretty good. Murdoch is definitely the best, but Twin Blast and Sparrow are also really good and are totally viable.
Right.
And that it's just this whole thing just like shined a light on the game. That's what the basis of this tournament was, to shine a light on what needs to be worked on in a competitive sense. And it's like there were not as many problems as I anticipated.
Yeah, I was expecting more, honestly, but that's just because I'm kind of like, there has to be a problem, or something's. Nothing ever just runs smoothly. But no, I mean, it was a lot of fun today, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I cannot stress that enough. Like, this is something we'll be doing more of in the future. We will have another tournament. I think it's 2 Saturdays from now. We'll be putting on another one. Bi-weekly.
We're by here at the at Voices of Agora, guys.
We are by. My wife just learned that I was by. She's going to be a little bit concerned about that. But oh well, what can you do?
So moving on from there, let's address the travel speed changes a little bit here.
We can't.
Well, you're right. I want to talk about it more in depth.
We gotta wait till next week.
All right, that's okay. Let's go over the Orb Prime and what we saw today. So even those who've listened to iTunes and Stitcher, you can at least get an idea what happened. We'll do a quick rundown of it. So the Orb Prime boss is in the middle part of the map. It's either on the left part of the map or the right part of the map. It's kind of random. It switches up. But it's basically this game's version of your Roshan from those coming from Dota 2, the boss coming from Heroes, or Baron coming from League of Legends. I don't know what Smite's version is called. Forgive me. Is it Zeus or something? I don't know. I think Zeus is a hero. Anyways. And normally in all those aforementioned games, there's that objective where you have to kill a big creep, a super powerful creep that grants you some advantageous buff.
Right.
Or advantageous situation. Once you kill it, you have the advantage.
Yep.
This game is a little bit different. Paragon's a little bit different because not only do you have to kill the Orb Prime boss, then you have to take the orb itself, similar to like your red camps and blue camps that grants you an orb. You have to take that, run clear across the map, and turn it into enemy
territory. Yeah, yes. You're not just running on your side of the map. You have to go. If you haven't killed towers, you have to go in between towers. You have to worry about them either running through their jungle or going the long way. There's a lot of ways to move this, but you are running head first into enemy territory to where you can be easily picked up and countered.
Yes. So it opens up counterplay to that. So you have to be thinking 2-3 steps ahead. You can't just, hey, we have a little bit of an advantage, we're going to go get this and snowball from there.
Yeah.
You have to be thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, both the team taking the orb and the opponent who's either going to directly contest the orb, or because when you take the Orb Prime, obviously that means that there's 5 people dedicated at the other side of the map. And this is something that we were very critical of, gaining advantages through other means, knowing that the Orb Prime is being taken, going, hey, we're going to push a lane and we're going to get a tower and then make our defense.
Yeah.
So there's counterplay to it. It's not, you don't necessarily have to defend the Orb Prime itself in order to create counterplay to teams that overcommit on it. Right. So there's that layer of strategical depth to it. And then there's a strategical depth that they have to move it across the map. And whoever has the Orb Prime is visible on the minimap for the enemy team. They know exactly where you are. So then looking at it from that view, the Orb Prime boss was just taken. More than likely, the enemy or the team with the tank, either Rampage or Steel, is going to have it. There's a couple ways you can look at it. You can just do a 5-man death ball down that lane and turn it in. You can do a little bit of split pushing. You can try to force mispositions and bad movements out of the enemy team. There's many different ways to play it. There's counterplaying. There's different strategies based around it, and I think that's really, really cool. It's not stale. It's not boring. Just go kill this boss and you gain an advantage. You have to be thinking so far ahead, and it really forces a lot of teams to be just have a little bit more foresight, and it's huge. The reason why we explain that, guys, so that's kind of the how the Orb Prime works, is it was pretty much the foundation for every single team that won a game. They had control of the Orb Prime.
They did.
Every single team that got an Orb Prime and then subsequently turned it in won that game. 100% of the matches we broadcast today. So that's why we're going over it and talking about the importance of it. I can't wait to see teams develop counterplay to Orb Prime. That's the big thing that was lacking today.
We did see...
What do you think of some ways of doing that, Notch? I mean, what do you think are some counterplay to it?
The last game we saw there, Explicit could have pushed out the lane. They could have pushed out the red lane, and they could have, instead of hanging back, because they had a tier 1 tower sitting there still up, they could have fought underneath that. They hung back in between the 2 towers, expecting these guys to go through the jungle. Personally, what I would have done is I would have taken my team, and we know they're going to cap that Orb Prime. We know they're there. We just lost 2 people to it. So we're going to take our 3 people that are alive, and we're going to push down the red lane. Yeah. We're going to try and get a tier 1, possibly a tier 2 tower out of this. And then if they come and cap that Orb Prime, we give them the Orb Prime. They don't have minions in that lane. They're not going to be able to jump on that tower. They may be able to jump on the tier 2 tower, but they're not going to get an inhib. And we've put ourselves at an advantage to either flank, come up behind them and get them a kill underneath the towers, or push out another lane because they're so far back. And you cannot backdoor that inhibitor. You can, but it's risky.
Yeah,
and it would have
early on, you can't backdoor that until like everyone's like has max card points and max cards and stuff like that, and doing so is too risky to do so until that stage of the game.
But we did see good gameplay from the other team here who played it patiently instead of just rushing and suiciding. They pushed the lane back out. They made sure they had minion waves with them. They made sure they had the advantage of when they got it captured. So we did see good play there. But split pushing. If you've lost the Orb Prime, go push out another lane. Go keep lanes pushed out. Go try and get those towers. Possibly pick up a kill, because we see a lot of teams where they will split, and you'll get that split push. So pick up a kill or 2 if you can. There's a lot of ways to counter it. We just didn't see any of them to date, unfortunately. The one thing we saw a frick ton was vision.
Yeah, those wards.
Vision for days.
That was such a cool strategy. What Warpath Gaming did, where they bought nothing but wards. For those of you guys who missed it, the very first part of the game, in game number 2, they might have done it in game number 1. We just didn't catch it. Of their best of 3 series between Explicit, the one we just got done casting. It's tomorrow at 3:00. Abra the Mage. Everyone bought a Shadow Ward, which is the 3 card point wards.
Yeah.
Which is 2 Shadow Wards. Shadow Wards are the ones with stealth. The only way to see them is to ward them yourself or be inside of a shadow plane. They immediately moved aggressively into the jungle. Not really aggressively, just kind of on the fringe territory of their opponents, and just carpet bombed the entire area with wards. It literally was like 8 wards, I think, 10 wards, something like that.
Yeah.
Then they all recalled, sold those wards, and then bought their health potions and their early items.
Right.
And it was so cool. Like that's such a like next level thinking, and I can't wait to see more of those tiny little tactics, little strategies that gain just a little bits of an advantage early on. And that was the big thing about Warpath Gaming in game number 2, man. Every time they saw that Finmal by himself on the ward, they were like, go kill him.
Yeah, and every time they did, the Feng Mao could not answer, and Feng Mao was really the what Explicit needed to jump on that back line. Let's see, guys, we normally have show notes. We normally have like a full script that we're rocking off of, but we've been casting all day.
Yeah. Good 5 hours.
And so we're on top of that, making sure everything's set up properly. So we're trying to think of things to cover here.
One talking point that I definitely want to cover, man, is ban rate specifically on Muriel.
Which is so sad. I didn't think we were going to see that.
Are you kidding me?
I know how strong she is. I didn't think we would see 100% ban. Maybe that was me being naive.
I was going to say Steel and Muriel. We don't know. We actually do have a guy who's doing all our stats for us. He'll be reporting that today or tomorrow, or maybe Monday. I'm not sure. So he's going to have the ban rates and the pick rates and the win rates, so on and so forth. But in our games broadcasted today, Muriel was like banned in every single one.
I didn't want to see that, though.
That to me shows that hero may be a little bit too strong. People have known that Muriel is really, really strong. Teams just don't want to deal with her, man. Teams don't want to deal with her. She has 2 shields. She has global. She's the only hero in the game that has a global presence.
Yeah, 100% global presence.
You can be anywhere on the map, and if your teammate's in trouble, you're going to be there to save them, more than likely, unless they get bursted insanely. So that's one thing. She's incredibly hard to kill, because right now the way you build her is cooldown reduction, health, and damage mitigation. You don't need to build energy into her. Some people do build like an energy-based Muriel, which is really cool, but the most effective way of playing her builds her in a capacity that not only does she make it difficult for you to take out the enemy team, she herself is extraordinarily difficult. I think she's the second hardest hero to take down in the game next to Rampage.
She's
so
pain
hard.
in the ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely pain in the ass.
With that being said, I won't be surprised if coming down the pipeline, we see Muriel getting a little bit of nerfs. I think, my personal opinion, I think she deserves it. I think she's overall a little bit too strong.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just because she's the only hero of her kind in the game right now. She's the only hero who has consistent damage mitigation. Decker has her ultimate, but it's an ultimate. Yeah. You know?
What's the counterplay
and she's the only hero, and she's the only hero who has global presence. If there's more heroes that come in that have a little bit more global presence, have global abilities or abilities with huge range, I guess you can argue that Murdoch does, but not really. It's more of offensive global pressure.
He's not going to keep... I mean, I've seen him save people, but...
Yeah.
You know, hers will save you and change a team fight. What's the name of the ultimate call? Do you have it there?
Reversal of Fortune.
Has 100%...
Didn't even have to look at it. I got that
100% Reversal of Fortune. You can reverse a team fight in that ultimate. She can stay and counter push a lane and then join the team fight a few seconds into it. And keep your team up and you wipe 5 people. Yeah, I understand the reasons. I understand the reasons behind the ban on her, but I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping to see some kind of counterplay, and I think it's because she's overpowered that we didn't, and there's not much of a counterplay right now, unfortunately.
I agree, man.
We
only saw Grux once. Fenmal definitely seems to be the favored fighter between Grux and Fenmal.
I like Grux more. That's just my personal preference.
I like both of them for different reasons. I think Fenmal has his shield. He has damage mitigation on his ultimate as well as his right click.
Yeah.
And his ultimate's much more bursty as opposed to Grux's ultimate, which is just a little bit more sustained damage.
Yep.
So I think when it comes to the job of getting in the backline and taking out one of those squishy heroes immediately, Fenmal thrives a little bit better because his ultimate is strict burst damage, and he has a little bit more survivability. His early game isn't as strong. Grux definitely is one of the better early game heroes with smashing. Once he hits level 3, he has the 3 abilities he needs. Double Pain is right click, smash and grab his Q, and charge his E.
Yeah.
He has a gap closer, he has a control tool, he can push, so on and so forth. When it comes to actually team fighting and doing the jobs of a fighter, which is to take out the backline as quickly as possible, Fenmal seems like a little bit better in that situation because he does have a little bit more burst to him and a little bit more survivability as well. Grux is a feast or famine hero, man. Fenmal can play from behind to an extent. Grux, if he's behind, he's just a non-factor.
Okay, well, I mean, those are all valid points. Maybe I just like Grux's playstyle more. Personal thing.
He's fun, man.
He's a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah, man.
What were some of the things today that we saw that you think we could bring to Epic's attention? I know we've talked about the foliage and the way the observation system currently works. Observation system needs a lot of fucking work. But again, it's early on, so I'm not expecting it to be, god tier or anything right now. So I know observation system is one where we can talk to the guys at Epic.
Definitely.
Was there anything else you saw in the game that you felt like, maybe we could bring this to their attention? And
the foliage, number one, first and foremost, the ability to hide the timer at the bottom is a big one, because that's kind of a spoiler, because once you realize it stopped ticking, that
the game's over.
The game's about to end, and you probably know, just judging by who's in the right position, you probably know who's about to win the game. The number one thing I think would be having an easier time finding replays.
A search bar.
A search bar for players.
Or I want an actual spectator mode, a spectator system in place where when you go to do that custom lobby, we have the key as well. We put the key in, and then we don't need to use the replay observation system. We can just be live in the game. We put in the key. We jump into the game with them when it starts. I would love a true spectator mode. A couple other things is I feel like you should not be able to use ultimates while you have the Orb Prime. They got rid of it with Muriel. I feel like Rampage should possibly lose that ability because it makes it so easy for Rampage to turn in.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, like if you have a Rampage and you get the Orb Prime, we only saw one successful defense of the Orb Prime, and I feel like that's just because Warpath Gaming, that was the game between game number one between, or game number 2 between Warpath Gaming and Team Explicit.
Their
Those
first
are what
turn
we're
in.
talking about. The first turn into the Orb Prime. I think Magic Z just didn't play it right.
Yeah.
He definitely could have turned it in without dying. I think he just kind of like went in there and was like, I'm a rampage, but he needed to be a little bit more calculated than that.
Yeah.
But I feel like as long as you play it right, it's so hard to keep a rampage alt off of, keep a rampage from turning in the Orb Prime. So I don't know if taking away alts is the way to do it. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to add like a slow to it because that's too bad.
I don't want to add a slow. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe
or
when you
like,
use an alt, you just drop it. It doesn't stop you from using your ability, but there's got to be a way to, and Rampage comes to mind because Rampage runs in, he roars, he leaps, he ults, he leaps, and he's dunked the fucking buff, and now your team is super strong.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, the comp team at Epic is several builds ahead of us, like months of builds ahead of us. So I won't be surprised if that's something addressed in the future. Yeah, but. I'm not sure exactly what would be the most quote unquote fair way of doing it. I feel like
they stopped Muriel.
Not being able to ult with it seems like it would, for future warriors who have different types of ults that may be really damning of them, right? Because you have to have some foresight when you do things like this, right?
Right. Because
Epic knows like the next 10, 20 heroes coming down the pipeline and their abilities and whatnot. So if taking away the ability to ult will hurt future heroes really bad, I wouldn't like to see the way they're done. I mean, Epic knows what's going on here. I trusted them. That's one good thing about Epic is it seems like their balance team's doing a good job at not only actually balancing the game, but listening to the community as well.
Right. We can do. You know, there's so many. Maybe he's not able to leap with it. He can still ult, but they lock a Z. Muriel can't ult with the orb. Yeah. And before you saw you saw where one person would go in directly head over to the capture point, the rest of the team would kill it, Muriel would pick it up, she'd ult, and instantly it's turned in.
Oh, yeah.
And you run...
One thing I'm surprised we didn't see is the Murdoch using the ult to across the map. I was waiting for that.
I was waiting for the last hit. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, as we transition here into something completely different, obviously Murdoch's Devastating Blast literally spreads from half of the map. It's a very long range, very, very long range. And whoever gets the last hit on the Orb Prime gets the Orb Prime. The Orb Prime boss, the Orb Prime creep, whatever. It eventually, I'm sure, will get some sort of name with lore attached to it. But right now, it's just the OP boss. The purple
rhino dildo. Purple dildo rhino.
Dildo. Purple something else. Purple gummy bear, some people call it that. Whatever name you have attached to it. Whoever gets the last hit on it gets the orb, automatically goes to them. Murdoch's ult does a big amount of damage. It has a huge range. So I will admit I went full scumbag and have done this a couple times. And you can use his ult from like across the map, put yourself in a position, and use Devastating Blast to like literally like make the distance you have to move like 60-70% less.
Yeah.
There is obviously a lot of risk involved in that because A, you have to put yourself inside of the enemy jungle pretty much by yourself.
Yeah.
B, when you do get it, they see where you are, and if anyone is around, you're going to get jumped on. So there's some risk to it.
But it's so much fun.
But it's pretty scumbaggy to do. I've done it. It's pretty fun, but I wonder if we're going to see that. We're not going to ban it because it's not a bug. It's not a bug. It was intentionally put in.
I think
will it later on maybe become a problem as teams become better? Probably. But right now, that would make me laugh so hard if we saw a Murdoch ult just get the orb from across the map and turn it in 5 seconds. Yeah.
I think we're gonna see more of a rescale of the boss. A lot of people are saying it in chat here.
That's true.
A level 1 boss is so easy to kill, and it doesn't scale with time. To take early on.
Yeah, I agree.
So even if it
does no damage. It does no fucking damage.
You can 1v1 it. You can 1v1 it. You know, pretty late in the game, and then just turn it in. So it either needs to scale with time instead of scale per death, because I can just ignore it all game, and then at 35-40 minutes, I can go easily one-shot it with any of my hero, or easily solo kill it with any hero and run it in. So I think we'll see a rescale here.
I agree.
But I think it's so, we saw today that those prime buffs are fucking
They need
insane.
To make it. They need to make the orb. They need to make the boss do more damage. They need just overall scaling. But they need to give it. It was actually a point brought up in chat here. But I believe that's Icarus said it. I like that. Give him some ability to where fighting in that area makes it like you don't want to take a fight there. Like if you get engaged on there and you get hit by like like he does an AoE stun or an AoE silence, or he drains your mana, or I mean there's a lot of different things that you could do, right?
Right.
Make it dangerous for teams to get engaged on inside of that pit, because right now it's not. It's simply not. You literally just back up the boss who does no damage, and then you turn him into a team fight. I think they need to make his scaling better, and they need to give him at least one or two abilities that make it extraordinarily dangerous to haphazardly go into an orb boss and make it easily punishable.
Yeah, I mean make it a true throw pit. There's
exactly.
high risk, high reward kind of thing. Because right now it's low risk with fucking god tier reward.
Yeah,
and winning games at 12 minutes. Dear Lord.
Well, that wasn't the Orb Prime. That was just teams getting horrendously.
It was a little bit. I mean, the Orb Prime definitely helped push those inhibitors and towers down. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fantastic teamwork there. What else, man? Today's been a fun fucking day. Is all I have to say.
So fun, man. It's been a blast. I gotta say, big shout out to Kirby on Warpath Gaming showing us Howitzer. Howitzer. I've always thought Howitzer was undervalued myself. But he really there was a lot of value there. We saw the Decker containment field into Howitzer's barrage. Hold on, I have it written down. Where is it? I actually didn't even write Howitzer's stuff down here because I didn't think he was going to get picked. I'm not even kidding.
What an asshole.
I'm not even kidding. I don't have Kalari on here, and I don't have Twin Blast on here because I didn't think either of them were going to get picked. I don't need to get carpal tunnel syndrome from riding so much.
I knew Twin Blast would be picked. I was not expecting Howitzer, and I didn't think we'd see any Kalamalari at all.
Yeah.
But man, today's games are a lot of fun. I'm excited for tomorrow with the finals. It was just holy crap, dude. This is a whether Epic says it or not, you can see what they're doing. They kind of have a path. They have all of these incredible tools in place to make esports a thing with this game.
And what's really cool is Epic. I didn't think they were going to do this. They gave us a little some not on the official Epic things, but some of the Epic guys gave us retweets and gave us exposure. We got a lot of almost nothing but positive feedback from the community. I think what we did do poorly, we know what we did, and obviously it'll be easy to improve on, man. But for it being Notch's first cast literally ever, and Notch and I literally we've been doing the podcast and whatnot together, including one we did before this that got put to the wayside. I think that you did a damn good job for being your first cast, but us as a whole, as co-casters, I think we knocked it out of the park, man.
I'm gonna say you're a liar.
Bouncing off of each other and whatnot. I think we were always kind of on the same page. We weren't repeating what each other said. We weren't walking over each other too much. Anytime we walked over each other, it's because it was something important was going on, and we didn't continue. You know what I mean? I think our synergy there was pretty good.
I think you're on.
Thank you, man. What time is the finals tomorrow? The semifinals are at 3. And the finals are scheduled for 6, but if they go ahead of time, we will do them ahead of time.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We have to take a moment here, and we have to acknowledge the fact that a national treasure just showed up in the fucking chat
national treasure.
This dude is known around the world. The motherfucker is a national treasure. Everybody give it up for Golden Boy. Golden Boy is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. National treasure.
Now, with you referring to him as a national treasure, does that mean you're accusing him of being Nicolas Cage?
No.
Did you just call him Nicolas Cage?
I did not. I'm sorry. Golden Boy, apologize. Damn it. It's global icon national. Son of a bitch. I fucked up.
Rip. Goodbye.
But that'll be tomorrow at 3, man.
Golden Boy, thanks for showing up here, man.
I met Golden Boy at the community event.
Oh, okay.
In February. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, he's a global icon and national treasure. I'm sorry I messed it up. I apologize. I'll never make that mistake again. Not ever.
So, what were we talking about before we totally got thrown
I'm sorry. We were talking about how amazing I did at my first cast. Keep going.
I think you did great, man. I think you did good.
Tell me more.
Obviously, there's things to improve on, man, but I think our synergy as co-casters was on point. We didn't make a lot of the fundamental mistakes that casters make with each other for the first time casting.
When he says first time, that was my first time.
And we did not practice casting at all once. We literally just went into it and we're like, let's see what happens.
Let's see how much Notch can fuck this one up.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude, your play-by-play is to be desired. But everything else, your analysis is on point. It's succinct. You don't go on these long tangents about the same point, which is a big problem I have sometimes.
No.
You had what I like to call gravitas.
Gravitas.
Your words were meaningful. They were impactful, but it didn't take a day and a half to get them out. And short little. That's how you want to be as a caster, especially in a game that's so fast paced. You want to make very profound points about what's going on in the game, profound points about building the story, and then from there being succinct about it, short, and continue to build momentum with the game. Build tension and release when it comes to the game, and you did it pretty well, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I didn't say fuck. That is right, Bleedies. I didn't say fuck at all, which I wanted to. Gooch, there were so many times where I caught myself and I was like, he doesn't give an F. But there was so many times. And
I was like, oh,
like, just no fucks are given right now. Like, I caught myself. Okay, so Dory just asked, Gooch, what games have you casted before?
But the first time what got me into casting was Dota 2. I didn't actually do it publicly. I did it like to myself.
He did it in his room alone with Toby.
I experimented with StarCraft 2 a while ago, but it was bad. I never got into StarCraft 2 that much, but it was Dota 2. And then Heroes. I got into Heroes Alpha completely on a whim. Like I got into like really early on, like the first wave of Heroes of the Storm Invites. I got into the alpha. I really enjoyed it. I knew what was going on. I just started casting it, and I very hesitantly. Oh my god, it looks so good, Notch. I hate you. I'm so hungry.
So good. I want her to go make me more.
And then I started posting my casting on YouTube, and I got kind of noticed from there. And I'm transitioning pretty much entirely to Paragon, man. Pretty much entirely to Paragon. So he casted alone in his room, pretty much golden by it. But it was the commentator's version of masturbation. That's what it was, man.
It was beat and read. Hashtag beat and read.
Can we just talk about this for a moment about beat and read? So
Are we going to go into this on the podcast? Okay, well, we're going to talk about beat and read?
On the podcast, you're right. We'll talk about it later. It'll be an after show thing.
After show beat and read. Hashtag beat and read, ladies and gentlemen. It's totally like masturbation, Golden Boy. He does it slow, passionately. It's pretty amazing.
Yes.
But no, man, this was a lot of fun. For my first time ever casting, I told you all week I was nervous about it. And I definitely, there's like tons of room for improvement, folks. I'm not saying I'm not God tier. I'm not day 9. I'm like Artosis. I'm like Artosis is where I'm at. Like that's where I'm at. That's my level. But we for the first one, I was very nervous. I prefer to be more of like a host capacity, and then actually have somebody step up with Gooch to do that, and just I would do the other stuff. But fuck, man, it was a lot of fucking fun.
It was, man.
A lot of fun, and we saw some good games. I know some people are saying Triangle Formation had it too easy. Well, hopefully tomorrow they'll get a challenge.
The seeds, the bracket placing was literally random. There's a shuffle button on Challenge, the website we use. I literally closed my eyes and I clicked on it. I literally counted to 15, and then I stopped and I said, "That's it." So next week will be different because we'll have placements and whatnot. But it was totally random, and I saw that Bay Life and Triangle Formation were on opposite sides of the bracket. I was like, "All right, like that's the idea." Like I totally didn't do that intentionally, but I'm not going to complain because those are like two of the best teams people will consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's I can't wait to do it again tomorrow.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be so much fun. So that's tomorrow at 3. The podcast, the guys listening to this on iTunes and Stitcher, you're not going to know when it is till Monday. But for those of you in the stream, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we'll be jumping back into more of Agora's Rising with our semifinals and our finals matchup. Mm-hmm. Who are you calling for finals? We're just gonna do predictions because we're not casting right now, and so I don't have to be biased. Who do you want to see?
We only saw 2 of the 4 teams that are in the semifinals right now. We didn't see Bay Life. I wanted to, but the time just didn't line up. They were always in a game, like in the middle of a game, when we tried to jump in their games.
Every time.
We didn't see any. Who else made it through here? Let me see. Kill on Sight. I heard they were dominant. I heard they were good too.
I heard we're gonna see Kill on Sight and Triangle Formation.
That was from an Epic employee, wasn't it?
That was from that was. They're calling. They're calling it.
I think Triangle Formation has Warpath's gaming number. to be honest. Though Warpath Gaming seemed to have a little bit better, more skilled. It's hard to tell. Is triangle formation so good that they make everyone look stupid? Or did they simply have an easier traverse across the bracket? We don't know. This is literally the first time this has ever been done.
And everything we're saying,
tomorrow, though, will hopefully make that a little bit clearer to see.
Right.
Warpath Gaming, though, man, I think they weren't quite as fluid and as decisive as Triangle Formation, but they still had an overall good game strategy. That
they have a really, really good game strategy, and
they're not as aggressive as Triangle Formation.
They're very
more
passive. Yeah, they're calculated. They're passive. They had a very good game plan, and I know chat's probably going to start bitching about something here in a minute, but get over it at this point in time. They played. We see every time we say Warpath Gaming, their chat goes off about them being cheaters and movement bugs. So I'm just shut it up now. We will look into all of those videos, folks. We don't need to rehash.
If there's anything like that, we're going to investigate it.
Yes, we will look into it. I don't need it right now. We're podcasting.
Yeah, exactly.
But and this isn't us saying we think this team is better than this team. This is what we saw today. We saw Triangle Formation. I've watched a lot of Triangle Formation's gameplay, and
they're good.
They're good. Your camera went ham sandwich, by the way.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. They're good, and I think we're going to see them definitely step it up, or at least take it to the finals. It's going to be interesting to see, though. I can't wait to watch these games tomorrow. I am so excited for the future of Paragon, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Our main thing we wanted to do with this was, first and foremost, was make sure the teams had a good experience, and I'm hoping they do. We'll give them a survey and all of that stuff. But we also wanted to make sure the viewer had a good experience. Yes, we know there's some things we could fix, like music, as we wait for games to start.
So the reason why, for those of you wondering, because it was so imperative for Notch and I be constantly communicating with each other, because we are the main organizers of this, so we have a lot writing on it. Not writing, but we have a lot invested into it.
Yeah.
So him and I needed the ability to communicate back and forth, not by text, but by talking to each other. So I'm going to an old co-caster of mine, Forecourt Jester, he knows a way of finagling it to where I can mute you on the stream, but we can still talk. I'm going to see if I can get that done for tomorrow. No promises, but for the next event, I will. So that actually you can listen to all the EDM music that's all the royalty-free EDM music that your hearts can desire.
If I hear any EDM or wub tomorrow, I'll shut the whole fucking thing down. I'll shut this whole thing down.
That's all. It's nothing but royalty-free music, and it's nothing but EDM and really awful, super generic metal songs.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the first and last Agora's Rising tournament. I can't do the wub.
Oh, geez.
But it was fun, guys. And, on that note, we could ramble for the next 4.5 hours. But on that note, I think we'll end this wonderful episode of Voices of Agora.
Somewhat short, but nonetheless, guys, for those of you listening to iTunes and Stitcher, make sure you check out our live broadcasts of Agora's Rising for those of you who's interested, man. On weeks like this, the podcast will be a little bit shorter and less organized. It's just more of a let's get together and shoot the shit a little bit. We don't have a guest.
Yep.
When we do have guests on, we have a much more organized sort of situation and whatnot. But I like having the Notch and Gooch episodes that are a little bit off the cuff, because we can kind of just it's on our schedule.
Yep.
We can get a little candid with you guys and talk about whatever we want to talk about, and that's pretty much what on weekends like this. That's what we're gonna do. Is have a little bit more off the cuff, and we're doing it intentionally because I don't want the podcast to feel contrived and forced too much. I want there to be an open element to it that we have between you and I.
Right, like that speech was totally scripted, by the way, guys.
Yeah, I actually just read it.
But guys, if you are catching this as a podcast, if you're getting this on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, soon to be Google Play, if you could please do us a favor, head over to any one of those pages where you listen to it and leave us a review. It doesn't have to be a 5-star review, but if you just left us a review so we know how we can improve, because the Gooch and I, it's all about getting better.
Yes.
We want to make sure we're putting out the best quality product. We want to make sure our future Agora's Rising events are top-notch, no pun intended. But again, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to head over to our Facebook page, you can go over to facebook.com/Voices of Agora. You can give us a like there, get information on the next time we record, or we post videos and whatnot. You can also head over to our Twitter, Voices of Agora, or at Voices of Agora on Twitter. If you want to email us any questions about our podcast, about possibly joining us for an esports event, about possibly guesting if you create amazing content for this community, send us an email at agorasvoice@gmail.com. Gooch, tell these lovely people where they can find you on the internet, my friend.
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Shane Goocher. I'm very active on it, talking about all sorts of things. I don't stream. Will be streaming much more consistently, but I've been so focused on getting things done with the tournament, I haven't streamed the past week. But at twitch.tv/Shane Goocher. I do have a YouTube as well that I'm throwing content up there every now and then. And of course, again, that's Shane Goocher. But the main one is my Twitch and my Twitter, guys. You want to follow me over there. And, of course, here on the podcast of Voices of Agora.
And, guys, you guys can find me 6 nights a week, Monday through Saturday, on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AnotherNotch. This one here. I stream Paragon exclusively. That's all I'm playing is Paragon. That starts at 6, except for Tuesdays because of my daughter's soccer practice, but that's a whole other thing. I'll update that later. You can also find me on Twitter at Notch Plays Games and YouTube at Another Notch Gaming. All of the events we casted today will be moved over to YouTube. Those should be up tomorrow. And we'll be back tomorrow with more Agora's Rising at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for this outro, and hopefully we see you guys tomorrow. Gooch, every fucking time.
Did you do
every fucking time I mess this stupid outro up?
I gotta say, my production, with one mistake, I had the team name switched up. My production was on point today. Can I just give myself a pat on the back for that?
Every fucking time.
It's like I've done it a time or two before, Notch.
Hey guys, check this out. Here goes. Now here comes the fucking epic thing. God damn it. Every fucking